Okay, and we're back in the car again this week, once again, and as I'm sure you've noticed, we have another new member with us today, another femme fatale, so...
Hi.
Really,
And Emma.
really just upping up that sexy factor. Alright.
Yeah.
Get a group following already. Alright. Okay, so we just got out of, Prisoners. I'm already forgetting the name of the movie.
What? How do you forget the name of this movie?
I'm just trying to deal with it. Jesus fucking Christ. This movie was fucking intense.
I can't. Oh!
Oh dear God. Okay, you have some things to say about this. I'll let you go first.
Okay, so let me just say that before I saw this movie, I read a script about child molestation. I saw a workshop that involved pedophilia, and then this was about child abduction. So I'm not very keen on like feeling good after this movie. So. And
we saw The Hunt not too long ago, so not quite as immediate as hers, but you know, it still affects me.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, holy crap. Okay, not a perfect movie. I do think this movie was pretty good though. For what it was. I mean, it does take on a very kind of hard topic, and the acting on over the board is fantastic. Mm-hmm. With maybe one or two exceptions. I do have my complaints. For one, it's way too fucking long. Like, this movie clocks in like 2 hours and 26 minutes. I looked it up on Rotten Tomato before we got in there. And it's like, you could easily shaved off like 20 minutes of it, and like I feel like it really kind of putters out towards the third act, and we'll get into why in a bit. But these are the complaints I had going into it. Other than that, like, the acting's fantastic. The story is relatively well paced. Granted, I have some kind of issues with that too. But overall, this is a very intense drama.
Yeah.
About child abduction.
Seriously.
So I guess at this point we're pretty much going to spoilers. So you know the drill here. If you actually want to go check it out, check it out. If you don't, then keep watching anyway. Or if you don't care, just keep watching anyway.
All right. Well.
So the movie begins with Hugh Jackman, who, what was his character's name?
Dover. That was his last name. I don't remember his first name.
Dover. Let's go.
Kevin.
We're terrible with names on the show.
It didn't seem to matter.
Wolverine.
Wolverine Dover. That was his name.
That would only work if he was Canadian in this movie, but I don't think he is. That would be hilarious, though. But there's no time for laughs in this fucking movie.
No. I left the movie, literally, my heart was tight, my stomach was queasy.
She got really into it.
I got really into it because after those two big things that I just told you, that...
Yeah.
Then seeing this, I'm like... I can't do this for another, like, year. I can't do this. I need a year to recover.
Yeah, we're gonna get her on a kids comedy for the next film.
Yeah, we gotta do, like, what's a kids comedy that's out right now?
Well, we got Cloudy 2 coming out this week.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, what do you complain about? You gotta sit through Smurfs 2, okay? Everyone's gotta see one shitty movie at some point.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
Insidious. Now that's a shitty movie.
That was a funny movie. I liked it.
But it was supposed to be scary.
I liked
so
Insidious.
It failed.
I liked Insidious too. I actually thought that was pretty funny, but that's off topic.
Well,
I mean,
it was
like,
funny.
Like, even the drama is my genre of choice when it comes to movies. Like, if I watch a movie by any choice, it'll be like, I love a good drama every once in a while. That being said, even then, there are times in the movie where I was going, Jesus!
Yeah.
Especially towards the halfway point. I think you know what I'm talking about. So what happens is it takes place. It starts out right around Thanksgiving, I think, because Hugh Jackman and his son, who I recognize as the kid from Awake, basically go out hunting, and it's kind of the movie kind of sets the tone, kind of a clever, kind of a not so not so subtle way. By basically Hugh Jackman says like something along the lines of, my dad told me, like, most important lesson he ever taught me was always be ready. To do what you have to do, pretty much.
Foreshadow, right?
Yeah, it was kind of obvious foreshadowing. But, so they go off into his best friend's house, I'm guessing, who is played by Rhodey from Iron Man 1. What's his name? Howard something.
The cool guy that was...
The cool guy that now everyone hates because he smashed on Iron Man 1.
Oh. Oops.
Yeah, that was kind of his mistake. But anyway, it's played by that guy. I keep wanting to say Howard Stern. I know it's not Howard Stern. But,
what? Who are we talking about again?
remember the guy who played Rhodey in Iron Man 1?
Nope.
Did you ever see Iron Man 1?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, the black guy.
I'm really bad with superhero. Superhero? Is he a superhero?
He was one of the main characters. He was Tony Stark's best friend.
Oh. I'm just gonna nod and... yeah.
How do you not know who this is if you've seen the movie?
It was a while ago.
Oh my god. Okay. So for those who know who Rhodey is from Iron 1, apparently all one of us in here that do.
Yep.
He plays Hugh Jackman's best friend in this movie, and they both have like little 5-year-old girls. And when they're out they go outside for a brief bit with their brother and Rhodey's older daughter go out to escort him out there, and they come across this RV, and the RV apparently has something sinister in the mix, which we don't find out who exactly until the very end.
Yeah.
And obviously it's it's a mystery drama, so you kind of go in that perspective. But either way, long story short, they end up getting abducted, and a good portion of the movie basically just revolves around A, trying to figure out who did it, and B, how the family is reacting to it, and that's where the majority of the drama comes in. Oddly enough, where a lot of times the movie kind of loses its steam is when you find out who took them, which is kind of weird.
That's true. And also that was like 2 hours in, and by then you're just like, I just want to know who it is.
Well, for me, it was more like, it's like, you could have given it to any of the 5 guys who introduced before now. Why are we still, like, at this point, it's like, I have to pee. Let's hurry this up.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they catch the guy who was originally driving the RV, which is who's played by Eli from There Will Be Blood, which was my all-time favorite movie.
Yeah, he's good and creepy, and
he's a fantastic actor. Unfortunately, not really much to do here, oddly enough. But basically, he was in the RV that took the kids, but they can't find any evidence that actually did it. Spoiler alert: he actually didn't. But he basically has mental problems. So he has like a mentality of a 10-year-old, basically.
Yeah.
So they can't really get anything out of him, and they can't hold him there because they have no evidence to charge him with.
Right.
So they eventually let him go. Hugh Jackman, for very obvious reasons, doesn't take this very well, and decides, I gotta kidnap him and stuff him in my this abandoned building that my dad used to own. It's okay to laugh. We need to fucking laugh.
It's just so absurd. Like how.
Because the movie's it got really fucking tense, because like this is easily Hugh Jackman's best performance to date in any movie he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Deke pointed this out while watching the movie. It's like he always looks angry in every goddamn movie he's in, except for maybe like Australia or Les Mis. But
oh yeah, Les Mis, he was just miserable. That's true.
yeah, well, he smiled a few times.
Oh, smiled with his daughter.
Yeah, see,
Right,
he can be happy sometimes.
That ridiculous song that had no place in that movie.
Oh yeah, I think what was the NC quote Oscar-bation? Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Basically, it's like, here's our excuse for best original song. You know.
I'm just gonna rub her head and hope that I get an Oscar. Pretty much.
Okay.
I think
That was pretty good. Okay. Anyway. So now we're back to kidnapping.
Great transition.
Yeah, I thought so. So I go back. He kidnaps him and basically traps in the bathroom. This pretty much might as well be condemned building that he owns.
Yeah, that was creepy.
And basically just tortures the ever living shit out of him for days on end. And it's like, it's one of those things. That's where the most intense scenes are those torture scenes. And the funny thing, it's not funny, but the interesting thing is like they almost never show him actually torturing him, which is actually a very effective method. I mean, yeah, it's like if you see someone torturing, it's gruesome and kind of hard to watch. Like, say, the Saw series comes to mind in this. But at the same time, when you don't see it, it almost allows you to use your imagination.
Yeah, and which can be worse.
And depending on how fucked up your imagination is, it almost makes it worse because you're just imagining all these horrible things you could be doing. There's one scene in particular where both you and I were basically just cringing. It was the part where...
Which one? There were several.
Well, this is the one that I think this is like when the most intense like torture scene came in. Was just beats the ever living crap out of him over and over and over again until he's like a bloody fist covered in a rag, and then he's like, this isn't working, so he grabs a goddamn hammer and comes back here and like holds him against the wall. And it's like, we're both just waiting for it to happen. And it's like,
I pretty much was just like, wait till tell me when it's over.
And surprisingly, it doesn't go that way. I was actually really surprised at it. Instead, he starts hitting everything else with the hammer. Like, he just destroys a sink and smashes into the wall. It's like, that's actually very, A, clever, and B, more intimidating than actually smashing him with the hammer.
Yeah.
It was legitimately just really scary, intense scene. Like, when the movie does stuff like that, it does it very well.
Yeah.
Like, I think where the movie kind of falters a little bit is you don't know these characters very well for all intents and purposes.
Right.
Like, Jake Gyllenhaal plays the detective in this movie. He's basically like pretty much the main protagonist, because the whole point of the movie is kind of like watching Hugh Jackman slowly kind of turn into like this monster, basically trying to go after this guy.
Yeah.
And again, that exploration is done very well until it's very obviously kind of thrown in your face at the very end that that's what they were doing, which kind of annoyed me.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that in a bit. But Jake Gyllenhaal is kind of like we don't know anything about him. Like, the only thing I can tell you anything about him, I can't even tell you his name. The only thing I really know about him is he has a thing for horoscopes.
What?
Well,
What was that?
It was like in the very beginning where you were introduced to him. He's like in the restaurant with the...
Oh yeah, that was really creepy. At first, I thought he was the bad guy. I was like, this guy is really suspicious. And then you realize he's the cop, and you're like, oh.
And of course, it's kind of that stereotypical cop where he has like his hair greased back.
His hair was literally greased, and he was like...
And he has like all the tattoos, like has a star and a cross, and he has like a horoscope symbols on his knuckles, so just kind of weird.
Yeah.
And he even has the angry, stereotypical captain, like, you're not getting anything on this.
Yeah. And he was patronizing everyone. He was really kind of...
He was a dick.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, it was Jake Gyllenhaal being a dick. I know, you're shocked.
Aww.
Hey, people, I'm still mad at Prince of Persia. Okay.
I didn't even see it.
Granted, it wasn't his fault, but that's not the point. It's the principle of the thing. But even then, it's like, we don't know anything about his personal life. We don't really know anything about who he is, just that he's on this case, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about this movie and these characters are they all had a lot of secrets, and I think that was part of using your imagination, was to think of what are these secrets? Why is there being like this? Like, for Hugh Jackman's character, he was always miserable even before this happened. So my question was, what happened in his past?
I don't think that's definitely a part of it. I'll agree on that.
It's not a big part, but I was always wondering it.
For me, it's more like it just a lot of the other characters kind of got shoved under the rug a little bit. Like,
that's true.
That's what kind of bothered me. Like, the son, I think, has like 5 lines, but I'm kind of thinking like, well, how is he dealing with this? Like we barely see that. We see like maybe 3 scenes where you actually see him react to anything.
Yeah.
Because they just think I'm all for giving Hugh Jackman more screen time in this because he's just totally just owned this part. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, well, how's he dealing with this? How's his reaction?
Yeah.
And his wife is basically useless for a good portion of the movie because all she does is lay in bed and cry and take pills. That's pretty much like her sole purpose of the good majority of the movie.
Way to define gender roles, right?
Yeah, I kind of noticed it was a little bit sexist too.
Very sexist.
Like I even noticed that, and I don't usually pay attention for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But even I noticed that, like, the women, all they kind of do is just cry and mope around. The guys are the ones that do action, except for the best friend's wife. To give credit, she at least tried to do something.
Yeah.
Again, to be fair, like, what happens is, Howard Terrance, that's his name. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I didn't know that.
That's his name. That's the actor's name. Okay, now I feel better.
Yay.
Okay, so Howard Terrance is helping Hugh Jackman with the kidnapping thing because he brought him into it. Jackman brought Terrance into it,
Mm-hmm.
And he basically helps him. Eventually, he just can't take it anymore. Eventually, he just tells his wife about it. His wife basically reacts the natural way and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Right.
And that's like, anyway, a normal person was, until she says, "I want to see him." So they take her over there, and she basically tries pleading with them to try to get try to be the good cop, bad cop kind of thing. But she kind of very stupid. I mean, at this point, the guy's just gotten the living shit beat out of him. Like, his whole face, like, swollen up. His eyes are closed shut.
Yeah, his face is completely red. His eye is completely swollen, and...
It's very good prosthetics, and it's very powerful imagery.
It is. It's kind of creepy to look at him because it's so disturbing.
Yeah, it was, like I said, like, whoever did the makeup on there did a fantastic job because it looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it was a very effective... She's very stupidly unties him, and he naturally doing what any sane person would do at that point is try to escape.
Yeah.
Like, where you have the mental capacity of a 10-year-old, their words, not mine, like, basically...
Seriously.
Basically, like, you would still try to, like, get the hell out. So, and even then, there are kind of signs early on that there's something clearly wrong with this person, because what instigates Jackman to kidnap him is that when he's released from prison, Jackman goes over there pretty pissed off for good reason and basically attacks him in public, and right before they pull him off him, he ends up whispering something like, what was it?
It was something about the kidnapping.
Oh, yeah, so as basically said, they didn't cry until I left them, is what he said.
Yeah.
So basically, naturally, Jackman doesn't take that very well, so he's like, okay, the cops aren't doing shit, so I gotta do something. So he basically just plans these elaborate tortures. Last one, admittedly, was pretty clever. Not condoning torture, but, you know, it's, as far as techniques go, it's...
Great thing.
Like guys say, we say some pretty horrible shit in this show.
Yay! No, I'm kidding.
Oh, this is gonna be fun going through all these and just picking out like, wow, how have we not gotten hate messages yet?
Because people enjoy us being assholes.
Either that or nobody just gets that far.
Yeah,
That's how I know, right there. Anyway. Oh, we have a couple fans. Anyway. Yay! Yay!
Anywho.
Thank you all again, by the way.
Yay!
Okay, so where was I? Yes, torture. Okay.
No, just
I can't say that nonchalantly. It's like, bye, honey, I'm gonna go torture some people. I'm gonna burn a village down while I'm at it, too.
Yeah, this movie.
Gonna hack a bone saw, bone saw, bone saw. What more fucked up things can I say about torture right now?
Let's not even go there. Anywho.
I thought of something, I can't say it.
Yep.
Hey there, Eli, would you like to play a game?
Put the lotion in the basket.
I almost made that joke twice. There actually is a point in the movie where Jake Gyllenhaal is trying to figure out basically who the hell did it, and he's looking up a series of sex offenders, which is the natural cause for something like this. And he was going to like a priest's house who's passed out on the floor, drunk off his ass.
Yeah.
And he finds a hidden door behind the fridge, which admittedly is kind of a clever place to put it.
True.
But he turns down the desk, and there's a big old hole, like there's no stairs, it's just a giant hole right there. And he just kind of looks down, and I think I leaned over and he was like, it puts a lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again, which is...
Yeah, I tried to block that out of my mind because it was too disturbing.
It fit, though. There was another time when that happened, like when Hugh Jackman's standing over the hole.
Yeah.
More on that later.
Yeah, anywho.
But, like, there's a lot of like loose plot threads that I didn't think were gonna go anywhere. Surprisingly, they all connect, basically out of pure circumstance. True. But in that hole, he finds a dead body that has a medallion with a bunch of labyrinth kind of symbol on there.
Yeah. And
which comes into play later on. And I don't know if I like that it connected together. Or I thought maybe it's too convenient. I don't really know where I've decided on that one yet.
I thought it was a method of them trying to connect things together. I think that's what it was, because it did take part in who actually kidnapped them and what they were actually doing, but it was more a symbol of this screwed up situation in the movie, in my opinion.
Guess so, yeah, I mean, if you look at it that way. So that happens, and again, the pastor has like one more scene that has like a slight bit of exposition dialogue, and then you never see him again. So again, it's like that's kind of the thing I'm talking about. It's like it's almost introduced and then it kind of goes away very quickly, and then you kind of forget about it until the very end of the movie when they bring it back up, which you can argue was the intention, but
true.
Either way,
you can argue that.
Where was I? Yes, elaborate tortures, and we're back to that again.
Yeah.
you can tell how uncomfortable the topic makes me.
Yeah, where I left and I could not stop ranting about how much I do not want to see a movie like this ever again. At least for a year, I told him. At least for a year, yeah.
Sorry. I didn't know. I only seen like one trailer for this, like, oh, it's like an interesting drama. Jesus Christ!
I literally came into this movie knowing nothing about it.
I knew a little bit.
Absolutely nothing.
I knew that he kidnaps him at some point. That's pretty much all I knew at some point. But
yeah, it was terrifying and creepy and disturbing, and I can't even, no words.
Yeah, and then like there's one point like after the halfway point where Hugh Jackman constructs this very elaborate torture device using very simple wood pieces, where he basically locks the guy into a pitch black shower using like just a wall of just wood plaster, and with nothing but a little hole to communicate with back and forth. On the other side, he has the water heater in which he can make the water scalding hot in the shower or freezing cold.
Yeah, he was.
It's pretty sadistic, and like even like the people he was with, like Howard Terrance is like, dude, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like we need to stop this. Like, you know what any natural person would say after a certain point. But then like the wife's like, no, like let him do what he'll do. We're not gonna go to me. We're not gonna stop him, kind of thing. Which I don't know. It's easy to say that you wouldn't do that, but at the same time, if you're that desperate, I don't know. Maybe it seems a bit extreme, but
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was like, at least she did more than Hugh Jackman, the wife, did, who just sat there and cried the whole movie.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think one of the most disturbing things about this movie was the fact that it was so realistic. Mm-hmm. You know, not just the acting, but like the dialogue, how people would respond, and even the pauses and how long they pause. It was so realistic.
Well, it's like I think Jackman kind of encapsulated that more than anyone else, because like especially when Detective Loki, that's what the character's name was. I know because I want to make an Asgard joke at some point, but I couldn't think of anything good. But Detective Loki comes into Hugh Jackman's house, and after like right after they arrest the guy, pretty much the guy with the Eli. They arrest Eli. I'm calling him Eli because that's who I know him by, pretty much. I don't know what the character's actual name. I think it's named Billy or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But so they come in there, basically says like we can't keep him here for this long, and basically Hugh Jackman has a natural reaction. Like the reaction he had to that, I felt was most realistic in the movie, where you just kind of started like, well, why can't you do that? And it's kind of like just the mixture of confusion and anger and frustration. It's like the feeling powerless. I thought that was really encapsulated very well, just in Hugh Jackman alone.
True.
Like I said, I wish they did more with the son. I would have also liked to see these characters a little more before the kidnapping, just to kind of like set it up a little more, because that I feel that way then their dilemma would feel a little more powerful if you got to know these characters a little better beforehand. Because I think we know them for about 10 minutes before the kids are kidnapped.
Yeah, something like that, 10, 20.
Yeah, but it's not very long, so it doesn't really give you a good chance to get a feel for who these characters are before everything happens.
Right.
So it's almost kind of hard to figure out how far they've slipped from what they originally were, based on just those very brief glimpses.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that kind of bothered me. Like, I know I'm talking a lot of shit, but I did like this movie. I thought it was a good movie. Is it the best drama I've seen all year? No. But I still thought it was good for what it tried to do. And a lot of it does work, but there's also a fair amount that doesn't. And I think I think we should talk about the third act now, because this, I think, really kind of lost a lot of its steam.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, 2/3 of the way through the movie, Jake Gyllenhaal tracks down, at a candlelight vigil, Jake Gyllenhaal, or Detective Loki, whatever the hell you want to call him, see this guy who's there, who's kind of very sensually touching the dolls, like the stuffed animals that are left at the candlelight thing, which is really creepy, and and basically just tracks him down. It turns out that he was like stealing like children's clothes to house his like pet snakes, because he's obsessed with like this book called The Invisible Man or something like that, which is basically about a serial killer who like drugs people and like makes him solve mazes, but the last maze is impossible to solve.
Yeah.
Which comes into play again at the very end. So after that's done, it basically happens is, this is where it kind of stops being a drama and becomes this much more of a mystery film, and I felt that's kind of where it lost a lot of its strength, because it worked really well as a drama,
Right.
But I don't think it worked quite as well as a straight up mystery movie. And I felt it kind of just transitioned fully into that at this point.
I see what you mean, yeah.
Because like up to that point, we had some great scenes. Like there's a part where like Hugh Jackman just kind of realizes like what kind of monster he's becoming. He just sits there and just starts praying to God, like doing the Lord's Prayer speech. And I thought like I basically realized like what like why won't you just fucking tell me? I think it basically says at one point. And I thought that was very effective. But then we go from that to basically Hugh Jackman just finally gets on the ball of who's behind it, and so does Jake Gyllenhaal. Well, I take it back. Jake Gyllenhaal falls into it accidentally.
Right.
But Hugh Jackman finally figures out. Turns out it's the person's adoptive mom. Which, again, I kind of saw it coming because there was only one other person that could have driven the RV. So I kind of figured that out. But at the same time, I kind of wish they really... She basically just had evil villain monologue.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she played a good villain, and you wanted her to die, but at the same time, like, to do the stuff that she did requires a great deal of psychosis, and I didn't feel like that was clearly present in her performance. Like,
yeah, good point.
Like, she basically just talked like Lex Luthor would to Superman, like, after he's busted up his evil plan, basically. Not someone who's clearly out of her goddamn mind, which was someone would have to be.
Yeah.
It's like, because she, like, kidnaps these kids to wage her war with God, basically, was her reasoning behind it. Because when we take your children, we turn people like you into demons, which I thought, again, that was a little too on the nose for what they were trying to do with the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
That bothered me. Like, that's kind of for the movie that spent so much time trying to have realistic reactions, to have something like this that just feels very unrealistic.
That's true.
And yeah, I thought that felt very, very noticeable, because it shifted tones, it like shifted feel, like it almost became an entirely different movie for a little bit.
That's true. I mean, it transitioned from all these people and trying to figure out who this was to just this woman doing this to Hugh Jackman. It's
like, well, enjoying the movie is basically just how they're reacting to it, and the reactions are fascinating. But after that, it basically comes, how do we stop the bad guy? That's pretty much what the end of the movie becomes. And I thought that was kind of disappointing way to kind of end things. So basically happens is Hugh Jackman figures out that this person did it, goes to her house, and of course she knows that he knows. So she points a gun on, basically shoves him into this hole in the ground where she kept all the kids, and drives a car over the entrance, which again, that's actually kind of clever. But earlier in the movie, the very beginning of the movie, I should note this, is that the kids go back. The reason the kids were kidnapped is because both the person's little daughters, go back to Hugh Jackman's place to find a red whistle that she thought she lost a long time ago. Now, the reason I mention this is because at the very end of the movie, when Hugh Jackman's in the hole after he's been shot in the leg, he finds the red whistle again, which inevitably saves his life. But again, we'll talk about that in a brief bit. So, Jake Gyllenhaal thinks basically that Hugh Jackman's lost his mind, for good reason. And
he kind of has a little bit. Yeah,
pretty much. And he finds Eli at the condemned building, and basically goes off to his mother's house to tell her about it. And she finds, and I guess the mother thinks that they finally caught her, so she goes to Anna, the daughter, to basically finish her off, from what I can tell. And of course, Jake Gyllenhaal shoots her, she dies, he drives her to the hospital. Rather miraculously, I think it would have been easier to call an ambulance, but...
Yeah.
Especially because he was already, like, shot in the head.
I think he just wasn't thinking straight.
I think that's probably a good point.
You know?
Bullet to the head, you know.
Shot, so...
You know, bullet to the head, that tends to shake up your memory a little bit. Logic, what's that? Okay.
Much.
I need to torture some people. Anyway.
No.
That's going to the video. Okay. So yeah, that happens. Anna gets saved, predictably, but Hugh Jackman's still in the goddamn hole. And like nobody talks about this for like the first time. Like it's all seen in the paper. Just takes a picture of Hugh Jackman, just says "still missing," and like that's all it says about it.
And then for a good 5 minutes, he doesn't exist.
And then like his wife comes in with the daughter in the wheelchair, and he goes, "Hey, you want to thank our hero?" It's like, are we just gonna ignore the fact that Jackman's still in the hole?
Seriously, like.
kind of want androids like Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Little Jackman stuck in the well.
Little Jack is stuck in the well.
Hey. What's that, lassie? Anyway. Okay.
We're so screwed up.
We've made worse
wrong.
jokes.
This is wrong.
Well,
It's true.
everyone lives.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so we can make jokes about it. It's not like the kid dies and we're making like dead kid jokes. Then we'd be horrible people.
Yeah, then we're horrible people. Yeah.
Think how much money you'll save on daycare. Oh God, I'm a horrible person.
I don't know what to say to that. That was pretty bad.
I'm a horrible person. Okay. I think I need to walk away. Okay.
Had to go there.
Yeah, I did. I'm gonna rot in hell. Okay.
Yeah, well. But
Kids don't die. So
kids are okay.
We're not making
The kids are all right. Remember that movie? Yeah, it's a thing.
minus the affair for no reason, and really makes no sense.
What affair?
And the kids are all right.
Oh, I didn't see that movie. I just know that there's a movie called The Kids Are All Right.
Okay, it's actually a good movie, but
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
But personally, I think that the fact that the perpetrator was a woman was really interesting because when you think about the way that the media portrays people who do bad things to children, basically, it's usually a male. So I think it was really interesting to see a woman, and even a woman who was, what would you say, 60 years old?
Something like that.
Yeah, she was.
Because apparently she's doing it for like
woman.
over 16 years, like 25 years, something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, she was doing it for that long, and you know, she was older, and I mean, it's not a surprise that she would appear to be a very nice woman, a very understanding and logical woman, but I just think it was interesting the fact that she was a woman. It just comes back to that gender role we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's like I kind of wish they explored it a bit more. Like maybe if they made the reveal earlier, they could have explored more into her psychosis. Like, what was she thinking? What was her thought process? Mm-hmm. Aside from waging her war on God, why? Why does she want to wage a war on God?
Yeah, what does that mean, right?
Again, what does that mean? Why does she want to turn people into demons? What is the purpose? What is the reason behind it? That's never really explored because she dies 5 minutes later.
Right.
And Hugh Jackman gets stuck in the well, you know?
Yeah.
And which is only saved because he finds the red whistle in the hole and he blows it when Jake Gyllenhaal is out with the excavation team, which I kind of wonder why he didn't blow it sooner. But, you know, whatever the case may be. But it's like, I feel like it should have kept its momentum going into, like, the exploration of emotion and, like, reaction. It's like, really delve into that. Like, and it did for a good portion of the movie.
It did.
But towards the end, I like almost forgot that it was doing that, and it just focused on the mystery aspect of it, which wasn't as interesting, to be frank. Because if I wanted that, I'd go watch an episode of Law and Order.
True.
Because I guarantee I could probably find a mystery very much like this on Law and Order.
Yeah.
So it's like I wish it's like if you're gonna have a villain with that kind of just very vague motivation behind it, explore that. Really look into it. I mean, at least do it more than you give the damn father, like the priest guy,
yeah,
or the snake dude.
Yeah, and those were really interesting characters. The thing about those characters were they brought a sense of they brought richness to the film, but then in the end they weren't super important, which kind of bugged me.
Yeah, like you could have almost caught the priest character out completely.
You could have, yeah.
And, like, the snake guy was interesting, but again, they kind of almost dedicated too much time to him because they didn't really do much with him before he shot himself. It's like, here's an insane dude that likes snakes. Why? Reasons.
Who cares?
No, I think the reason, I think they did explain it, where they said, like, he convinced himself, like, he was the kid that was abducted in the Invisible Man or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that was the reasoning behind it, but even then, it was kind of like, it's like, again, it's like, but it's almost kind of pointless because they don't really go into it.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, especially for the main villain. The main villain is like, that's something you should really explore and really make your character stand out. rather than just be another, like, might as well being like a Smallville Freak of the Week kind of thing.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes. So, like, that's really the thing that I think that was most obvious to me as the biggest flaw of the movie. Great, the stuff that comes before that is worth checking out, and it is worth watching because of that, because, again, Jackman has such a great performance in this movie, and so does most of the other cast members, with a couple exceptions. I never really particularly care for Gyllenhaal, necessarily.
Gyllenhaal's character was a little flat, yeah, but
because we didn't know anything about him. That's what I'm saying, though. Like,
background information.
We're only known that he's apparently solved every case he's ever been given, which I thought, I was like, really? You're throwing that cliche line in there. Like, next thing you know, you told me he's not a team player and doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah.
Which he might as well have said that at some point, but
because it was true.
Yeah, pretty much. But even then, he has this weird, like, blinking thing. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he had this twitch. It was like
it wasn't just a blink. It was like he was trying to make a wish every few seconds.
Oh, well, it's actually a physical ailment.
Is it?
It is. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's a form of Tourette's, but.
Oh, well, that's news to me. If he had it, they sure as hell didn't talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, he just put it in for the character, which was interesting. It was an interesting choice, but it wasn't really needed.
There was a few interesting choices like that. There were parts where he just kind of randomly got angry and just going, "Rah!" and just like start chucking everything.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, we got that though. That was pretty clear why.
Yeah, I mean, that was more obvious than the blinky, than Wiki Blinky, but you know. But,
yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. You got anything else?
No, I just wanted to underline the gender roles and the good acting from all but those two that we talked about. I personally think the son, I didn't quite believe him, but that might be because I didn't know anything about him.
Yeah, he just wasn't given enough screen time to be memorable.
Yeah.
Except as the son.
Yeah. And
that's all you know him as. And that goes for Terrance is it Terrance Howard or Howard Terrance? Fucking
Howard Terrance? Howard Terrance, right? Yeah.
It's Howard Terrance Howard. Either way,
something like that.
Some variation of that. You can correct me in the comments. Because I know someone will.
Yeah. But yeah, so.
But like his daughter had served no purpose too. Same exact thing. Like she was given maybe 1 or 2 scenes of dialogue, and that's it. Like
true.
Nothing else. And I thought that was kind of disappointing.
It was. It was a good movie, but.
Like not perfect.
Things.
Not perfect. Yeah. But I guess then hold on.
Is it time to talk about
trailers? Yes.
Trailer time, yeah.
Yeah, make that the intro. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll check that later. Okay, so I made a list this time. Surprisingly, we only got 3 trailers this time. I was surprised. That very rarely ever happens. First one we got was I remember now. Mandela was the movie about the African American civil rights person.
Yeah. That looked really good in my opinion.
I thought that looked good. Yeah, I mean, I usually don't go for those kind of smarmy movies because you can kind of tell it's going for you can almost tell immediately with the beat that's going to hit. I mean, not that these weren't real issues at the time; they were absolutely real issues. But at the same time, you can always tell you have the one person who's pure of heart and never can do no wrong kind of people with the evil government forces that are just going to do anything to stop him from his evil game, and all that shit.
It's just you'd recognize the movie as being similar to a lot of movies that are, in particular, coming out right now. Really, Lincoln kind of stuff. I mean, it wasn't historical, but it was activism during what time period was that?
Lincoln, or we're talking about
Mandela.
Mandela. I don't know. I'm not much of a history buff, so I don't know much about this particular time period.
It was it the civil rights movement? I'm not quite sure. But anywho, it's.
Sorry, I was just checking that.
Oh, no worries.
Work message.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very, a movie that you would recognize as similar.
I just know it has the black guy from Ghost Rider 2.
Sure. Yeah.
Because apparently no one else has seen Ghost Rider 2 but me. I can't say I blame them. It's a shitty movie, but I still I fucking love it. Because every time I do, I have a good time. Because Nicolas Cage is goddamn hilarious.
Yeah.
And there's a child in the movie that pukes fire at one point, and one guy who plays Satan who looks like Mr. Toad. So you know what? I have.
Yeah, that's a good image.
No, he sits on top like this. Like this. Yeah. And I'll probably do a review on that one day. But I mean, it looks good from what I saw. I'm worried that movies like that have a tendency to be shamelessly manipulative when it comes to emotions.
Yes.
I think that's what kind of bugs me more than anything else about this kind of movies. Not that I do not. I want to make this perfectly clear. I do not in any way oppose what they are trying to say, because.
No, we like it.
No, we like it. I'm all for it. Sometimes I get annoyed by the way the movies are presented.
Right. Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Because that way I don't get thousands of angry comments from like the 5 people who made it this far, going, you racist motherfucker. How dare you? And like, apparently they all type like this, like dinosaurs.
I'm sorry. Dinosaur.
Okay. Next one we got another trailer for Captain Phillips, which I think is the second or third time I've gotten this trailer, which is the Tom Hanks one. What do you think about it?
I really want to see it. I think it's gonna be really intense, and because it's based on historical events, I think those are usually quite interesting human study, really.
I'll only go see it if Tom Hanks at one point goes, Wilson!
You just see volleyball, like,
no, just like throw a man overboard that happens to be named Wilson, just so you can say it. I would write that into the script personally and shoot that in a day.
You can see we clearly disagree.
I just want to hear him say it. It's like, Wilson!
Meet him one day, be like, say Wilson.
It's pretty much just do it, just fucking do it. It's like when me and Grant saw Dawn of the Dead 3D, we had Christopher Lloyd. We both like geekgasmed a little bit when Christopher Lloyd said, "Great Scott!"
Yup.
It's that same kind of thing. But you know what? The movie looks okay. I don't know really what to think about it right now. I won't know until I see it. It's one of those kind of movies where I don't really know how it's going to play out. I mean, it looks like they're trying to at least provide a balanced viewpoint between like the American ship and the Somalian pirates. Like, they're at least trying to add like some reasoning behind the Somalians' actions, which is actually applaudable since most movies probably wouldn't do that. Right. So it's like if they play that right, it could be very interesting. But if they don't do it right, it could be really preachy or annoying.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things. We'll see how that turns out whenever that movie comes out. I don't even know what the release date was. And the last one I want to be excited for, but I'm not sure yet, which is The Counselor.
What was that?
That was the one with Michael Fassbender and
I don't know.
Penelope Cruz, Cameron Diaz.
Oh. Yeah, you can talk about that, because I don't really...
I don't have anything to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just know it's Michael Fassbender, who was Magneto in X-Men First Class.
He's what?
He was Magneto in X-Men First Class.
Oh, okay.
That actor. I love him. I think he's a fantastic actor, and if Daniel Craig ever stops being James Bond, I think he should be James Bond. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Make that a thing. Michael Fassbender is James fucking Bond. And Benedict Cumberbatch is Brainiac. But anyway. But, it has like Michael Fassbender and Brad Pitt and Penelope Cruz and Cameron Diaz and it has who was the guy who played the villain in No Country for Old Men?
I have no idea what his name is.
Javier or something.
The guy who everyone thought was a good actor.
He is a good actor. Come on.
I didn't say he wasn't. I'm just saying everyone thought he was.
Okay, that's like hey.
No, not arguing.
Okay. But, I mean, it looks interesting. It could be interesting. I'm not entirely sure what it's about, to be frank.
Yeah, it was
something about a crime thing, and there's police involved, and there's all kinds of other things
and Cameron Diaz going and like
possibly,
this to someone, so
and possibly lesbian scene between Cameron Diaz and Penelope Cruz, which is maybe why I'm excited for it. Which is, Mike explained a few things. Hey, you know what? Penelope Cruz still looks fucking good.
She does. It's true.
But yeah, I think that's about everything. So
Yeah.
final thoughts?
I would say this movie is definitely a go see. I mean, we've said a lot of negative things, but there's a lot of really good stuff in there, a lot of really good acting that
Yeah.
I think is worth checking out. So
I would pretty much agree. Is it the best drama I've seen all year? No, I think The Hunt still takes that spot. But I still think there's a lot of good things in here. There's a lot of good things we tries to do, and I think a lot of it does very well.
yeah.
It kind of putters out toward the third act, but other than that, I do think it's worth checking out just based on the performances alone.
Yeah.
So, I think that's about all we have to say. So we will be back later, either this week or next week, with a couple movies. We have Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, which I gotta drag somebody to, and all it's 5,000 puns. Just for that, I'm gonna drag you to see it.
Oh, no!
And then we got Don John, which Elisa has agreed to see with me. So we'll go check that one out.
Cool.
So that's the agenda for the future, and we'll see you all when I see you.
Bye-bye.